The Volkswagen Golf R, guys. The quintessential hatchback. Like, some people say this car is boring in their reviews, and I drive a Camaro ZL1, and I'm gonna tell you this right now. This car isn't boring. This car is so much fun. I'm giving you a review of a 2024 Volkswagen Golf R. Straight about 315 horsepower and 280 pounds of torque for the manual, and the automatics get 295 pounds of torque. Super weird, but I actually wanted to give you a good review about this car because I feel like the people that do the reviews of these cars don't give it justice. And after spending time with it for the past 3 days or so, I've realized that this car is actually kick ass. Like, this is a tuner car. This is an enthusiastic. This is an enthusiast car. And I don't think people actually give that the credit that it actually is or deserves. Bone stock wheels are drilled. That's crazy. You got the fat R logo, and they're huge and blue and beautiful. It's got this sick spoiler. The GTI has a more subtle, chill one. The spoiler actually looks super cool in my opinion. The car actually only comes in 3 different colors: white, black, and blue, and it's the same kind of blue you see on the calipers. If it was my personal preference, if you could deal with having a clean black, then this is the way to go, is to get a black one. You also got some quad tip exhaust back here that looks super cool. It just feels good. The car feels really well built. Now, looking at this car just from a distance, like, you may not say this is a $50,000 car because it's just kind of like a hatchback, right? And I get it. But when you spend a little bit of time with this car and you actually get close and personal about it, you start realizing that, yeah, it is a 50K car. And you're gonna find the letter R absolutely everywhere on this car. It's in the screen, it's in the gauges, it's back there, it's in there, it's on the seats, it's everywhere. Let's go ahead and go check out the interior. Seats. Okay, so these seats are actually pretty cool. They're a little firm, especially when I first got into this car. I was like, man, these seats are firm, but they're not that firm. And actually, I got used to them quite a bit. There's a lot of adjustments on the seats, so if you're a taller guy, this is important to you. But yes, it's got lumbar front and back. And this is just the gauges. You could go ahead and customize these gauges. I don't want to go too much into infotainment. I actually think it's really well thought out. The only thing I don't like is, like, you got to do everything through the screen, so while you're driving you're reaching up here. Like, there's no interaction with it down here. Go in, you could change the view of like how the gauges display. I think these gauges are super cool. And you could change the colors to how you want. You could have your GPS back there. You can make it a little bit more simple, and you can still customize these even further if you some of the options. You got a boost gauge, G meter. You could see the torque distribution between like the all-wheel drive, if it's going towards the front or the rear. I want to show you guys this because put on boost gauge, right? And then we're gonna go to the one over here and we're gonna put on the boost gauge. Guys, we got twin boost gauges in a turbo car. Need I say more? Okay. The stereo is okay. I'm not like blown away by the stereo whatsoever. Beautiful turbo noises coming out of this car. I'm getting bad looks from people in the neighborhood that live on this street. Matter of fact, I've gotten lots of bad looks about my driving since I've been driving this car. And I gotta be honest, I think I'm okay with that because that's kind of what I want. Speed limit's 25, not 35, jerk. Yes, sir. There's a school up here. Children. Turbo noises that this car makes with an intake are worth writing books about. Whoa, that guy. Did everybody just see that? Did that guy even just like miss that red? Okay, maybe not that, but it is so nice. So driving around town, this thing has a lot of get up and go. My goodness. This thing is not screwing around. What happened to that guy's car? Now the engine, you could kind of tell just driving, it's not like the greatest noise, right? It's not the worst noise either. A matter of fact, you kind of get used to it and you kind of like to enjoy it. I think the driving seating position is good. You could get the seat really low. If you're just going around town, this car doesn't exhaust you. You're not going to rub the lip on high bumps like you would like a Camaro or, you know, similar car. It just kind of feels good when you want to drive it aggressively, and it feels good when you just gotta like be calm and sit in traffic a little bit. I had a 1-hour drive with this thing, driving from the top of Orange County to the bottom of Orange County, and it was just traffic the whole time. It sucked. And I gotta say, I didn't feel exhausted when I got home. I didn't like, I mean, I did, but I was golfing all day, which is funny. But yeah, the Golf R, like it shined a lot more than I thought it would. I gotta say that. I'm gonna try to crack the window and see if I get you guys some of that turbo-y noise that I think you deserve. All right, let's slow down a little bit. This car has a hell of a pep in its step. I gotta say, when you get on it and you have an intake on this car and people hear the turbo spooling, you see them looking from down the street. It makes noise. And we're stopping. And this should be a testament right there to just how good those brakes are. Did you see just how quick that thing stopped? Amazing. So I want to go ahead and put it in like a different mode. We'll put it in race instead of like the drift mode, right? I still think that's plenty aggressive. You have the Nürburgring road, but you could also come in here and customize and go through. You have like 12 positions of how you want the suspension to be, the magnetic suspension. Steering, race, engine sound, all that kind of stuff is here. I don't mess with it too much. I've given it the fully stiff settings, and yeah, it's too bumpy. It is. So I gotta say, that's probably not the best setting, unless you're like on like perfect roads, which, you know, where are you gonna get that? All right, we're just gonna keep it in race because that's what we do. And of course, I am short shifting. I am not driving the best because I am on video now. But I gotta say, I was driving a lot better prior to this video, a lot smoother. And that's something to say. The gearing is very, very short on this car. And I think that's because it's meant to get out of the hole fast. It's meant to have aggressive times. And that's not always what you want, but it's kind of like what you get, right? But I think overall with the short gearing, you're gonna get a lot of fun out of it. I could go for a longer first gear. First gear is probably like tops 27 miles per hour. And you can see I'm doing a lot better now. This car has a lot of get up and go. I gotta say, I'm actually like really impressed with what Volkswagen's done here. I think this car is actually very underrated. It is a hot hatch, and when you look at the cars you compare it to, does it have the best performance?
Please repeat.
No. Cancel.
You can operate them. Cancel.
So if you happen to sneak in the name brand of this company, you're gonna end up activating that while you're talking, which is funny because it's something that I do. But I think this car is damn near perfect, and I don't think the reviews say that. I don't think the reviews really talk about how exciting this car is. They go, oh, it's kind of boring. I don't think this car is boring. As a matter of fact, I don't think this car is boring at all. I think this car is a blast. One thing I really like about, now this is an odd comparison, but I really like about the Camaro SS1LE and the ZL1 non-1LE is that you can have a race car, but you can also have like a streetable daily car that's comfortable with the suspension mode and being able to adjust the throttle response, and things like that. And to me, having a Swiss Army knife of a car that could go high highs and low lows like that can be like a GT Cruiser to like a high strung drive the shit out of me. To me, that's a compliment to a car because that's what I want. You know, it's not going to be the fastest performance car. It's probably not going to be the fastest on track, but I can see this car spanking a lot of other cars. And we're going to go ahead and put it on the Canyon and get a little bit of that driving experience just to see how that goes. Hi. But overall, road noise is actually quite quiet. And I gotta say that is very nice. When you get on the freeway and you're just cruising, the car is actually very quiet. If I come in here into the throw us in comfort mode, I know this isn't exciting, but the exhaust and the intake of the engine noise is a little bit quieter. The suspension is softer. And when you say softer, I guess you mean you don't feel a lot of the small imperfections. It's still a stiffer car, but it just translates to the driver differently. So you can still do what you want to do with it, but it's just going to be a little bit more compliant for the driver. And I think that's a really nice thing to say. What, that guy fixed his car with tape. That's hilarious. But like just driving this around town, you still know you got that hot hatch. You still know you got that big old turbo just sitting waiting for you. You know, you still know you got 315 horsepower and 280 pounds of torque out of the manual, 295 on the DSGs. And it's just that says something. Now, I've never been a European car driver. Matter of fact, I've never owned a BMW. I've never owned a Volkswagen. I've never owned really any of these cars. And I've never been a fan of them for a lot of reasons. I like American muscle for a lot of the reasons. But this does something a little bit differently to me, and I'm excited for that. I'm going to come down here to torque distribution or performance. Let's see what that is. Okay. That's how much torque we put out in kilowatts. I'm not even sure what that is. We got oil temps, coolant temps. I think that's super cool. That's going to be useful if you're on the track. Assist systems. No driver's assistance that control this vehicle are active. I like that. Gear display, of course, if you want to know what gear you're in. Now, this is the weird thing. Unless we're moving, it doesn't show. So at a dead stop, I put it into first, and it's not showing first until we actually like get on throttle and show low performance. So I think that's not a cool thing, because if you're parking your car, right, and you want to like take your foot off the clutch, you want to know if you're in gear or not. Well, it's not going to tell you. You have to just do the classic wiggle, right? And hey, we drive manuals for a reason. We like the wiggle. Don't take that away from me, so I'm totally okay with that. Let's see if we get some turbo noises for you guys. I can personally listen to that all day. Oh, getting spanked by the Porsche. Oh, that's fun. Hey, good run, dude. All right, we're having a lot of fun with this car out here. But overall, guys, I think this car is super slept on. I don't think, you know, people do this like justice. I think this is a very fun car. I don't think it's the fastest car you can buy for the money. I don't think it's the slowest car for the money. I think everything this car does is correct. I think, honestly, like throw a stage 1, stage 2 tune on this car, and you got like a serious weapon on your hands. Bone stock, I think it's a blast, and it's actually quite a quick car, especially when you get it in like boost weather, right? So you put it out in certain environments where the air is cold and dense, and you're gonna have like a lot of fun. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this part of the drive, and I'm gonna bring you into the canyons in the morning, and we're gonna go also ahead and do some night driving so you can kind of see the differences and how this car kind of delivers a full package.